It's already on there.
Yeah. I hope it is.
Well, it's written right.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I can't even say good evening. It's still in the afternoon. But anyway, welcome. If you want to speak to us this evening, we have sign-up little cards outside the door. You can fill that up and get it up to us, and we'll call on you whenever we have the open floor. If you would, please silence any devices you have. Good. Come on down. And it looks like we have all commissioners here with the exception of Dr. LaRose. You hadn't heard from her, right? Okay. Maybe she forgot the time or something, but I think she might show up. But anyway, we do want to welcome our new ad hoc commissioner here, and that is County Commissioner Nathan Boyles. In fact, we're going to put him to work right away. We're going to ask him to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
That I can do. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The only minutes we have to approve are the ones from 14th of May. Anybody have any objections to the minutes? You went over them, no objections? All right, they're approved unanimously, but I do want to make a statement that I've made before about the minutes. And minutes are supposed to be a concise overview of what happened at the meeting. 5 pages for a 1 hour meeting is just overkill, in my opinion. I've discussed about this before. Minutes have to tell you when you start, who's there, and the important issues like motions, votes, seconds, those kind of things. To get in all the discussions that have gone on in 1 hour is just tying up somebody's time too much to do that. And I understood the last time we were not going to continue to do that. And yet we just wasted, I think, a lot of time doing minutes for a 58-minute meeting as long as the county commissioner minutes, which the meetings go on for 4 or 5 hours.
Sometimes it's easier to do direct transcription and then clip what's not appropriate in there. However, due to the time I was in and out of the office, I did not have time to clip the minutes and actually have them here for this meeting. So they're coming from direct transcription from the meeting itself. The meeting.
So what you're saying is it was an accident that we got them this way?
Well,
You didn't intend them to be
I
that
did
long?
not intend
Okay,
to
all right.
forward them that way.
All right. So-
However, they come in directly from transcription.
I understand, okay, so I just think we're spending a lot of time on minutes. Okay, that's my opinion. Anybody in the audience like to speak to the CRA commissioners at this time? Anybody in the audience desire to talk to us? All right, be like that. We get it. Okay, old business, Gateway Entrance Sign Project. Lisa, you're up.
I'm up. Okay. Welcome to our unusually early meeting, and I appreciate y'all coming today. As we have talked in the past about the gateway entrance signs, put in y'all's packet, if y'all will notice, there are several options, but the first section is a letter from Beth with Polly, and she is here to answer any questions if y'all have. And the planter one sign, the big planter sign, if y'all will look at that picture, your first picture, that's kind of an idea of what it will look like. And then behind it is an estimated drawing, the engineer's drawing of that planter sign. And if you'll notice, it's got, we're going to have plants in the front. Y'all got there? Okay. Lights on the sides. Behind the picture, this is it up here. That's the picture of the sign. Thank you, Caesar. That's what it should look like there. That's actually the big one. That is the big one. There's a smaller rendering. That's the first one they gave us. There's one that's smaller than that. That's the smaller one is in your packet. So it will look like that, but just a little bit smaller. The one that's in your packet shows a little bit smaller because it's a little bit further away from the sign that's, the other sign that has to stay there. We will be replacing the wooden sign that's out there with this one. And the drawings on the design, there will be, on the left will be the city's logo, and on the right will be the CRA's logo on the sign. And underneath, where the planner is, or up top, it'll say, "Welcome to Historic Crestview." And the planter area will say, "Established in 1915." If y'all have any suggestions or changes or ideas about this sign, if you would please share those with me.
Any
Be
comments,
great.
questions?
I like,
Okay, Mr. Gardner?
I like the design.
Okay, thank you. Polly's done a wonderful job of getting our ideas.
Commissioner Cox?
Nice design. I'd request that their consideration for putting native plants in the planter,
Very good idea.
specifically native plants.
So
to
they will
Norfolk.
live.
Thank you.
Note taken, and we'll be done. And if you have any suggestions of specific plants that would grow there, I would gladly love to hear them. As y'all will see on the email from Beth at Polly, that planter sign is estimated, it's under planter sign option 1, anywhere between 40 to 50,000 to put that one in. For that one.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, beautiful design. I think it fits the character very well. My only thought might be some type of directional arrow or something that would help to kind of indicate. I know that travel path is a frequent issue for folks to figure out how to get into the downtown district. And so that might be a thought, just an arrow that kind of points up and to the left or in some other format that would help to guide folks into that historic downtown district.
And we could put a separate directional sign on the side that is also in our master plan. There had some directional signs. We could look into putting one of those off to the side beside it. Because I don't know if you want it on the monument, I would think a separate directional side on the side. And I can check into that price, because you're right, people need to know. And that's why it's kind of angled that way, so people, it kind of directs them there, but we do have 2 separate roads, and I can look into presenting that option also.
Elise, what did I miss? I saw the 2 options on the arch, but I don't see the
No, we're at
second
the
option on
the planter. Do you-
I understand.
Yeah.
I
Do you-
haven't finished my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said I see the 2 options on the arch, but I don't see the 2 options on the planner.
There's not 2
But
options.
you listed 2 options, that's why I was looking for it. I see planner sign option 1, planner sign option 2. And I'm
Oh,
saying I couldn't find option 2.
okay, I'm sorry. You're right. Option 2 was actually option 1. Beth, can you come explain this? What we had at first, option 1, and I forgot to put it in here, that's my fault. The planner was bigger and it came out further, and that was option 1. And option 2 is the one you see the picture and the design, because I wanted to kind of move it in some to save some money. And, but option 1, where the plants are, the little front part, it comes out further. But the drawing that's in here, that's option 2.
That should be, is it 22 feet? I think it's 22 feet long sign. I don't have the drawing.
Here's the drawing right here.
Hey,
Okay, I was just wondering if I had.
You're
missed
right,
something.
I apologize. I put her email in there and just put this one.
yes, this one's 31 feet. That's the larger. That's actually option 1.
Okay.
And the plans that we sent, the picture that is shown, the actually Photoshop picture, that's for the smaller sign. It's only 22 feet across. The photo would be about a 22-foot sign.
Which is this option.
Which is this,
Okay,
which is
all right.
number 2,
No,
which is
option
actually the
2.
32 to 42,000.
Right, option 2.
Yes, so option 2 is this photo, is option 2.
Right, the one that says option 1.
Yeah, that one's option 2
But it
on
says
your
option 1.
email.
See how confusing it was?
And my fault, yes, you're right. We wanted to I wanted to get the lesser one, and I forgot that she had that in her email, the price of the bigger one. So, I wasn't even gonna present the bigger one, but the price is listed in the email.
Okay,
Because it did seem, when we looked at the picture, it did seem almost overbearing. It was so big with the things that were around it. So, after she mentioned it, we said, yeah, let's shrink it down a little bit. And it did seem to fit with the surroundings a little bit better.
Okay.
So,
So that is option
Two.
Okay.
At
That you're
32
looking
to 42,000.
32 to 42,000. You just stay right here.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep my security blanket here with me. Okay, now as we move on, do y'all have any more questions on that one? I'm sorry.
Mr. President,
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
I have a question. I like it, it's real nice. Now, as far as nighttime, is there illuminating light on this, or is it gonna be dark?
No, there are lights on the side. If you look, there's 2 lights on the
Okay.
side. Yeah.
I just want to make sure those
Yes, sir.
were.
Yes, sir.
Acorn lights are on the side, and if you wanted to put some kind of lights pointing.
Up
Yeah,
lights
I
or
don't
something
know
like that.
how bright they're gonna be with,
Yeah, we have to be very careful that there's very specific codes with that.
because of the traffic.
It has to just point at the sign, not out, but if that's what you want, those can be done.
No,
along the
I
base
just
pointing
was
out.
concerned about if we're gonna have enough lighting on that to
Mm-hmm.
let people recognize it.
Yeah, and that's a good question. And I meant to point that out, that the lights were on the side when I was doing the
Well,
other stuff.
I saw them on there.
Any other?
That's all,
Commissioner
Mr. President.
Faircloth, you were next.
Yes, there's a sign to the left
Mm-hmm.
of it. One of those, it looks like a bronze.
Yes, sir.
Is that,
That's a Blue Star Highway, that's a designation from DOT.
Okay,
That sign
well,
that they put there.
as far as having a direction arrow or something about pointing to the business district or whatever, if we attach it to the sign, the monument itself, that'll disturb the symmetry of the sign and everything. So
Yes,
if we
sir.
could put another plaque on a post to the right of the sign
Yeah.
to match that, that would keep the symmetry and it would take care of the directional arrow.
Yes, and we do
Good
need
point.
to work around that Blue Star sign, because that's a DOT thing, and it's designated and set there, and we'd have to jump through quite a few hoops with DOT to.
Well,
move
I've got
it,
no
so we'd
problem
rather
with
work
that being there.
around
I'm
it.
just saying it would, we could put a
The
lookalike
directional
sign
sign.
on the
Yes.
right side as we're looking at this picture,
And we can make it,
designating the business district.
And it would balance nicely with that
Yeah.
Blue Star sign.
and we can even and try to make it similar to that sign, so there would be a good balance. So that's a great place to put it. Good suggestion.
Good point. Mr. Blocker, you know,
Okay, let's go back to option 1. Horizontal dimension again, with what was the measurement?
The measurement of the sign as you.
Horizontal.
Horizontal is, now this is the bigger one, it's
Yes.
22 feet.
That's what he's talking about. The first one was 22 feet.
Second, option 2.
The second one is 22 feet.
Also,
No,
No, option
no.
one, that's 31.
Yeah.
you're confusing here. You're saying 2 different dimensions here.
Option 1
we don't.
should be 31 feet.
Mhm.
horizontal.
31.
Horizontal wide.
And that just looked too big when we laid it out
Right.
actually with, so we shrunk it down to 22, which is option 2.
2 is 22, right?
Yes.
Which, the option 1 is what you see in the picture up there, but option 2 is the one that's in your book.
Yeah, that's correct. I understand that. But you said different a while ago.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. I'm sorry.
My apologies.
That's all I have.
Any other questions, comments? Yeah, Madam Clerk, you.
Just a quick comment. I mentioned it to Beth. It's 1916. County was 1915. City of Crestview was 1916.
I thought it said 16. Thank you so much. Yeah, because we just had our centennial. That's kind of, yeah. We'll put 1916 on it.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Thank you, thank you.
Only spent 365 days doing that.
Yeah.
All right, you want to move on to the next slide?
Well, I do want to mention that I would suggest that this be phase 1. This be the first sign that we do, and concentrate on getting this one done first. And that would be the one I'd like to start on. Okay?
We have
The
any kind of a timeline on that?
ASAP?
Yeah, well, I mean, once y'all make a
Once y'all
decision-
decide, we can get started with going further with it.
And also need to discuss, do you want to do several of them together? Because there's going to be some economies of scale if you have one contractor build them all at one time.
We can do that. I was thinking phasing it, but if we can do, no, the cheaper, the
For
better.
these small amounts of money, I would think if you had the money, you'd want to put them together,
Okay.
just not.
So we can do them all at one time and just
Makes
pay?
sense.
Because they're going to be the same bricklayers, the same electricians, the same, and it's basically, the signs are, we designed intentionally so they kind of go together, so it looks like we have a plan, they all have the same style, the same bricks.
That's good.
So you would think one contractor could do them all more inexpensively at the same time, if money is available.
Okay.
Okay?
You had
But you
another
can still
comment?
phase it that they built that one first.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Get that one first, and right after that one, do the next one, and right after that one, do the next one.
Mr. Blocker has another comment.
Okay?
The vertical dimension on the established Was that 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, or is blotted out?
The big one is, what, 10, is that 10? I can't read, I'm blind as a bat.
That says 10 feet. That's the larger sign.
The bottom where it says established,
Oh, established
established.
1915?
Oh, that little, you talking about that bottom area
Yes.
there?
I think that's 8 inches.
It'll be a planter, an 8-inch planter. If y'all want it to be
No, the
bigger, we,
planter, that's just the.
well, I know, oh, the numbers are 8
Oh,
inches.
talking about the letters.
The letters are 8 inches. If y'all want it to be bigger, we can. We've just only got so
I'm
much
thinking
space
there ought
right
to be at
there.
least 10 or 12 inches. I mean, the further we view it, because that's gonna be important to the person that views that sign.
Sure. Can we do 10 inches?
As long
Okay.
as it fits in the planter's tall enough.
We'll put them as big as we can in that planter area. How's that?
without looking.
Yeah, without looking over done. All right.
All right. Yes, Ms. Fairclough, do you have something?
I
else?
I might also suggest that you surround it on the ground level with some kind of paver. Because when they start weed eating, they're gonna beat up the front of that sign with the line from the weed eater. If you put a row of pavers around in front of it on the ground, that would eliminate that.
That's fine.
Yeah, that won't be that big.
I'm writing in your book.
That, you go right ahead.
Okay.
All right. In my book, the next one y'all have should be the arch sign. Okay. Now, the picture of that arch sign is the first one this is the first picture he gave me. We're not, the windows in the towers, they won't be there. It's gonna be no windows there. 'Cause that's an expense we don't need. And, it's just gonna be all bricks where the windows are, just picture the bricks over that. And it be an level. The arch itself,
This isn't matching up there.
yeah, and I'm sorry, go to the arch one. I may have given him two in the wrong order.
Okay.
There.
There we go.
All right. The design itself of the arch, I wasn't particularly fond of. It would have cost more money for him to do another one of these. So you've got in your packet 2 different pictures of arch options.
This picture is really intended just to show you the scale and the size and the basic overview. Ignore those little bubbly.
Yeah. He just
not
put something there.
terribly
Yeah.
That's just what he picked as an example when we first started with the photos.
So option 1 has welcome to above it and historic Crestview, and then, of course, the railroad tracks in the arch. And, of course, they have the lights on the side, and we've got the city and CRA logo on the tower. Option 2 has historic Crestview in between the railroad tracks. To me, it's more visible, but I wanted y'all's opinion on which one y'all would prefer.
All right, comments? Ms. Fairclough, you first.
If you hadn't told me, I don't think I would have decided those were railroad tracks.
Okay,
If that's all gonna be handwork, welding and everything, that's gonna really make up a lot of
It's
expense.
gonna be more, what we envision is more metal with a plasma cutter, cuts it out almost like a printer. Not, yeah, handwork and welding would cost an absolute fortune to do that.
I also think it makes it a little bit too busy. If you just got letters hanging in the air, depending on what kind of day it is, you really have to squint and look at some of those things sometimes to see what it says. Other times, maybe on a cloudy day, depending on the color of the letters, they just jump out at you. I don't know how we would determine.
The plan was for this to be a solid sign with the railroad tracks being cut out, and then the historic Crestview actually being solid metal letters mounted on the front of that metal, so that they stick out.
Okay, there'll be a different color.
Yes, there'll be some
okay.
dark color that sticks out, so you just
Okay.
have the train tracks kind of as a little border as an effect, but the not cutouts for the letters, actual metal letters mounted on the front, probably with a little bit of backing, so they stick out just a little bit and really you can see them.
Okay, but let's call it the mount for the for the letters, the railroad tracks and the arch.
And we don't have to have the railroad tracks, that was just an
It's just something I
idea
thought
that we
about now.
started with because the railroad.
Well, is that all just regular metal? I
Yes.
mean, it's not. Is it going to be powder coated?
It would, in my opinion, would need to be powder coated or some kind of treatment so it lasts and doesn't change color. Yes.
And it could just be a piece of metal that says Historic Crestview on front of it. We don't have to have the railroad tracks. It's just something I thought about doing since the Crestview is known for the railroad and the history of it.
Well, I don't know what the other commissioners are looking for, but I'm looking for something that is not getting too expensive, but it presents the message that we're trying to
And
put
so
out
it's
there.
still easy to read.
We could spend a lot of money on it and make it be too busy.
Yeah, well, and that's true. I mean, if y'all want, we can redesign that, yes.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about option one because I think it's
too busy.
It's gonna be hard to see the letters on top of the railroad tracks in option one.
So option 2, that's why we put it between the railroad tracks.
But we're certainly open to other suggestions. We just had to start somewhere.
Commissioner Cox, go ahead.
Yeah, I like the bases on the side. I'm not too thrilled with the archway as proposed or the railroad tracks. I would be more in tune to ornamental
Okay.
iron works.
Would you want it less, would you want it less busy? Is that what y'all are looking for, is something less busy?
Well, I think you could have some flowing ornamental iron works as opposed to those 2 sets of tracks, which I'm not sure that gets it. But I like the bases and all the rest of the design, just
And we're close.
work on the architecture.
We're
That means we're close for the first stab.
And to be honest, I knew the arch was going to be the most one of contention. We knew that was going to be, well, just
Difficult
discussion
picture.
to try to get a good idea also. So I knew that was going to be, we just came up with some ideas that we had, hoping y'all we offered more suggestions.
One more. I could supply to you some pictures and photographs of some various other cities' archways, numerous that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
And maybe might
That would be awesome.
find a more
Could you
appropriate.
send those straight to me?
Oh, as soon as I get the proper information.
It's B-B-R-A-N-T. B-B-R-A-N-T at Poly, P-O-L-Y -inc.com.
And of course, CC me if you would at that time.
Mr. Hayes, you were next. You were done, weren't you?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I like the concept very much. Not in favor of the first one with the small, but my concern was, at present time with the 2, whatever you want to call them, poles up there, they use it for advertising. Is there a way that this can be used for advertising? And I realize that even to go with digital signing across there, flashing at, we're looking at a much higher figure. But this is what we're looking at as a one-time shot, in my opinion. You're gonna put, once we get it up, you're not gonna take it down. Is there any way to incorporate some type of way for advertisement on different events that are going downtown or things like that? Like before, even get big plastic sign up there and the wind catches it, blows it, and all that other stuff. That was my only question.
Theoretically, I suppose if you wanted to temporarily cover the sign because you had some particular function going on, I don't see why you couldn't use this as a background to attach a plastic sign to that would be much sturdier than the way it is now, swinging in the breeze from the 2 poles that are there now.
That sounds reasonable.
It's not
to me.
something you want to do often, but I think you have some really
Sounds
important things
reasonable and
downtown
economical.
you might
Okay.
want to do. Everybody's used to seeing this, and it would draw their attention if you
Okay.
used it as a sign support.
That's all, Mr. President, for me.
All right. Anybody else?
Chairman, if I may, kind of going back to try to keep the train moving, and still, make some progress with the comments made today, specifically with regard to the arch itself. I'm assuming that would really once you've got your contractor who's been selected through whatever bid process you're going to go through, they'll actually have to take and convert into their systems and actually have to produce back a drawing that they can actually produce. And it needs to be a squaring up between your renderings and what their production processes will actually allow.
Yes, they'll do a submittal of an actual shop drawing that will say, yes, this suits us, or no, it doesn't, try again.
And so my thought there, Mr. Chairman, is you might be able to, as we get to the third sign and then get a motion moving this thing forward today, it could be subject to review of some shop drawing options as you move through that process, would allow you to keep moving, because it sounds like there's general consensus, at least on the basis on this signage.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you. And my remarks are, between the two, I think the second one really stands out, having the lettering between the tracks, if we're going to have the railroad tracks there. I like that one better. I have to tell you that when we had a review of our plan a couple of years ago to Atkins, and this, putting an arch up, really stood out to me right away. I said, that is, this would be a fantastic thing to have coming into Main Street. So I want to keep this thing moving as quickly as possible, too. I'm sure that you reviewed a lot of different archways and everything before you came up with this. I don't want to regress and start from scratch.
Change it to some wrought iron or some scrolly. I know exactly what you're talking about, some scrolly looking ironwork. And I do think this will draw attention at that crazy intersection that so many roads come together, that it's going to draw attention.
Which one?
I can say that, I've lived here my whole life. That this is Main Street. This is the direction to go. I do think this is going to be an awesome addition right there at that intersection.
Well, I think we need to move ahead as quickly as we can. If everybody agree with that, we can look at some iterations of it, but let's go ahead and move ahead, and once we look at the third one, then we'll make a decision on all of them.
Okay, all right. The third one, I'm sorry, you want me? The third one is, it is a digital three-way sign. There's several options. There's three options. The picture that you're looking at there, that's the front, but it would look the same on, it's a triangle. It would look the same on two other sides, and it would be a triangle. Or it can just be one way. So if y'all will look at your renderings, and I'll let you go over the different options on the renderings.
Yeah, if you're looking at this page.
Yes, ma'am, we're all on there.
Okay.
The
first
same
one
page?
Yeah. The first one left, the first two basically look like the same from the front, but if you look at it from the top, that plan view at the bottom, that shows you it would be a three-sided sign with digital signs actually on two sides, basically facing 90 and facing 85. And the back side would be blank. There's really no reason to put anything on that back side because it's facing towards the courthouse and the trees. Then option 2 is just that same sign but flat, generally facing towards the corner. We'd have to figure out the exact placement to get the most bang for your buck out of a one-sided sign, but still with a digital sign. And then the last option was, if we didn't want to spend the money for the digital sign, was just to have purely a directional sign right there pointing to courthouse, city hall, Main Street, whatever things you want to put on the sign. So those are the three options that we've come up with between our collaborations and discussions for that location.
And the price of that one,
Has,
is, if y'all will look,
on my original email, the A3 digital tower sign, options 1, 2, and 3, or the 2 digital signs, 1 digital sign, or no digital sign. And yes, that cost does include the actual digital sign. I don't know if y'all have seen like the sign at Shalimar, the town of Shalimar's digital sign. It actually does a very nice job. It's high enough quality that you can really read it. It really is an asset to their little community. We're looking at something very similar to that for this location.
and there's more on this one. On this particular sign, and I'll let Commissioner Boyle say, I actually went to him and asked him if the county would help us on the price on this sign if we did the 2 signs. And I will, if you don't mind, go ahead and explain what you said to me.
Mr. Chairman? If I
Yeah,
may.
you got the floor.
Thank you, sir. And so well, first of all, I think this is the right location and the right type of signage. This is, frankly, for the CRA, this is your prime location at that intersection. Private businesses would pay very good money to have the opportunity to be able to get their message out right there. And so I think it's an opportunity for the city and for the CRA to get their message out. And quite frankly, I think possibly for the county as well. The property, and I'll start there if I may, the real estate that this sign is proposed to go on, at least as best I can tell, is on the old FHP station property. That property is currently under the control of the sheriff. He has a long-term lease through, I believe, through DOT that gives him full control of that property. The sheriff's office and the county have been in negotiations for a couple of years on and off about discussions of transferring control of that property to the county. And that's still a work in progress. I'm hoping we may get there during this budget year. But I went ahead and went and met with the undersheriff. The sheriff wasn't feeling well for a few weeks, but I went and met with the undersheriff and made good progress on trying to work out an agreement that would allow for some type of sublease on that master lease with DOT to go ahead and allow for the placement of this sign. And then pending, hopefully, what will be the county's acquisition of that property to kind of incorporate it into the larger courthouse parcel. And my thought would be to have me approach the county commission. We're watching our courthouse budget close right now, but I'm confident there's opportunity for the county to dig up the funds necessary to partner with the CRA in the creation of this sign, and for a couple reasons. I think one, because it will be on what will likely be county property. Two, the designer has really kind of echoed some of the design work with the courthouse, which I think is a positive. It creates some consistency in the district. And three, I think it's an opportunity for us to kind of jointly be able to message to the public about public notices, public events. And I think it's a good location to do that. The county would have been spending money at some point on some type of signage on the courthouse property, and potentially even here if we had worked out our deal with the sheriff. But if we can partner on that, and I think the way we would do that would simply be to kind of share airtime on the digital signage, then I absolutely am more than willing to take to my commissioners a request for funding match to partner with the CRA, and feel confident that we can get those funds allocated to help kind of offset that cost to the CRA.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
You have a remark, Mr. Fairclough?
I don't know if this is what you were talking about when you mentioned the signs, but if you utilize that first 10, 12 feet of that white space at the bottom, you know, when you come out of the elevator in an office building, there's a sign there telling you which doctor or lawyer is which way.
Yes.
You could do stuff like that on the bottom part of that sign and still use the sign
With some metal.
for an ad or event. Yeah.
Like what's on the third option, where it's got the directional, you might put the directional down underneath, is that what you're talking about?
On that first.
On the drawing? The third option, had the directionals?
No,
No, what are you talking about putting?
I'm leaving the sign up there like the picture,
Yes, sir.
but use that first 10, 12, ever how many feet that is from the bottom to the sign, that white spot area.
Yeah, put the directional things there, is that what you're, yes, sir. Okay.
I mean, it's just awfully bland looking as it is, right here.
Right, so put like directional,
Yeah.
City Hall this
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, City Hall, courthouse, Main Street, whatever.
Like basically take some of this and put it down there.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, I agree.
That sounds
I
good.
think we could do that without making it look too busy, because we have so much space to work with.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Commissioner Cox?
Yes, do we have cost estimates on 1, 2, and 3
Yes.
as proposed?
Yes, it's back in that original email from me to Elisa. It's
It's
the very first page.
I'm sorry.
first page on that
Yeah.
section.
The two-sided one is 69 to 79,000, including the digital signs.
And option 2 is your one digital sign that will only be facing like toward the 85-90 intersection. And then option 3 is the one without the digital sign, just directional.
What are the thoughts on, whether you want one or the two digital signs on there? Because that's an important point.
I think two would be the benefit for having it there. If we can scrape up the money for another sign.
Mr. President,
Yeah,
question.
go ahead, Ms. Hayes.
When you say two digitals, are you making reference to two digitals there or?
No,
one
talking
is
on one sign, where they're talking about having it on two sides.
You'll have a triangle, And one side of the triangle will be on the 90 side.
Okay, I understand.
And one
Okay.
side is on the 85 side, and then they'll be facing those directions.
And the back side.
And the
Just
back
blank.
side will be just blank.
If we don't put another sign on the 90 side, it's gonna look awful bland.
Well, if you did
Well,
that
it just-
concept, yeah. but-
Yeah, it'd just be
The way
one-sided.
that road curves right there, it's hard to catch the road with any one direction sign.
Yeah.
Mr. Costa, Mr. Hedges, you done? Okay, Mr. Blocker? Okay.
My uttermost concern is maintenance free. This mailing stuff out there, I'm against that, period. We don't want to redo this thing every year, period, and making sure you take that on consideration. Maintenance cost.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Cox.
Yes, I think the triangular design is clearly a better design for this sign at this location because of the angles involved.
Yeah.
And I hope others agree with me. I'm not real keen on whitewash brick on the lower part because that will probably tend to get pretty dirty in a hurry. I would think. Just-
The whole purpose of
just
it was to match the
in the air.
courthouse.
But,
Not necessarily
well,
match.
okay,
Well, to
but,
blend in with the courthouse. So
well,
that's
maybe
why
it
we
should
did
be
that.
more brick. What's wrong with that? But
That's a decision for y'all to make.
the shape and the concept, the
Yeah.
triangular is clearly the best.
If you wanted the brick to be match the brick on the courthouse and not be whitewashed, that could be an option, but that's for y'all to decide.
My other question would be to our county commissioner, do y'all have any that, because I think that would be the best concept, but if he can acquire some of their bricking to complete that, I agree with Mr. about that whitewash, I just don't like that concept whatsoever. But if they have matching brick, and the commissioner probably can address that better, I just asked the question.
Yes, and if I may, Mr. Chairman, in fact, that was one of the items I'd overlooked. We actually ended up with a fair bit of excess brick, it appears. Whether or not it'll be enough to do all three signs, I don't know. I know that we had used, if you look at the courthouse closely, there's a couple of kind of color variations in different areas, and so we can work to get kind of actual quantities as we're now kind of wrapping up that exterior construction process. I'll make sure we get those within the next week or so, and I can get those over to Ms. Brandt so that they could, as they work through the design process, could start to see if it's going to be enough what we have on hand. And I think I am confident in being able to say that we'll be able to get a donation of that surplus. I'm sure we'll hold back just a small amount for replacements in the future, but the bulk of it we'd be able to surplus to the city or to the CRA for that construction process. And if we're lucky, it may go all the way and build all three of these.
Mr. Fairclough.
Let's keep in mind, gentlemen and ladies, that we're not just trying to build a fancy pole, we're trying to build a sign. And that plain whitewashed look is looking the way it looks is because there's nothing on it. We're planning on putting directional arrows and all that stuff on it, and that would break that up. If you put those letters on brick, it's going to be impossible to read them.
They will stand
On
out.
that whitewash, they'll be much easier to see.
I'm not saying whitewashed. Commissioner, is the top of the courthouse, that valance, is that stucco?
It is, yes, sir. But there's also some what I think they call architectural stone, which is a cast stone material on the lower portions of the courthouse, and I suspect that may be an option. Which it's obviously a durable. It's effectively like concrete. Looks like a stone, low maintenance. To Commissioner Blocker's point, and I think that might blend pretty well with the signage that's proposed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said this was more for get the image of what it looks like in shapes and size. We certainly are open to suggestion for actual materials and finishes and whatnot. We're just getting to the point where you can see basically what it looked like.
Well, I don't like. We'll use the term whitewash.
Yep.
Whitewash is white cement with water, and you just slop it on there with a brush, and when it dries, it's white.
Yeah.
It doesn't last. Okay. so we will go with a white surface. I'll call it a white
And this-
surface. If you whitewash it or paint it or whatever, then you're gonna be out there whitewashing and painting every couple of years or so. Bricks are maintenance free, but if you're gonna use them for a sign, then it's impossible to read the letters on front of them.
I think so too.
So-
I think the letters would be hard to see on just
So
the red brick.
I think what the commissioner said,
Stone.
if we can get a hold of some of that stone or even stucco,
Stucco that blends
yeah,
with the
you
finish.
can make your stucco natural. It will be like they put dye in it to make it a particular color, but if you use white sand, then the stucco will be white.
Correct. I agree. With some nice colored metal letters that are powder coated or something that's long-term, so we're not having to maintain the letters.
Right.
We don't want to see rusty letters running down the white stucco.
Mr. Blocker?
Doug, if it's stucco, you can get this acetate, permanent color made of the stucco up to with a 50-year warranty,
Yeah,
period.
that's good.
Correct.
And that could be the option that we want, if y'all want to decide to do the stucco or wait and see what, if he can get brick or whatever materials he can get. We can always, of course, come back further with the actual materials. We just need to start moving forward on the actual designs. We can get the materials broke down.
Commissioner Cox, ma'am?
One more time, I'd like to see if we can agree on the 1, 2, or 3, and option 1 is the only one that's triangular.
Yes, it is.
The other two are
They're flat.
barely two-dimensional.
Yeah. That's what we're asking you guys.
For the triangle.
Well, I'm kind of hearing we have a consensus on triangle. Is that true or not? I see people nodding. Yeah.
Oh,
Want to get for that? All right.
Okay, triangle. Triangle.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. I
Yes,
just
go ahead.
wanted to make sure I understood, what action item do you need today, or what's the next step? Do you need a kind of a bundled motion from these gentlemen that directs moving forward with these adjustments, and what's that moving forward, that next step?
We need y'all to decide and let us know to move forward with the designs, the 3 designs that y'all had, these 3 designs. Of course, the triangle sign, y'all have already contended to that. And the other 2 were really kind of, there wasn't much option, except for the arch. I do know that we're looking at a different design that we will get back with y'all on the actual design of the arch itself. But do note that those windows in your picture will not be there. That is not, now, if I'm not mistaken, the white down there at the bottom, that's white, that was the whitewash brick.
If we need to change that to stucco,
Yeah.
it makes
We
more
can do
sense.
the bottom of that to match the bottom of the tower sign, the 3-way tower sign over at the courthouse. We'll make all that, we'll make the tower sign and these archway towers match.
And also on this arch, if you want to, we could drop the red brick further down because we're not adding extra signage there and have a smaller band of the white at the bottom. Since we're not adding any sign. We're gonna put the CRA and the Crestview logo, but that'll be on the red brick higher up.
Yeah.
There's no reason it has to be the line in the middle between the white and the red. Any
That's very close.
thoughts on that?
that was gonna be my suggestion, is it will take out the windows. It does
Yeah.
look kind of plain, but if we just do the whole thing in brick or stop under the lamp, go from there to the ground with brick.
Well, and if we do that, and the reason this is gonna match the tower sign, the 3-way tower sign, and it had the brick and then whatever we're gonna put at the bottom. Do you
But it
want?
doesn't have to come up as high.
Yeah, it doesn't, this brick doesn't, the red brick doesn't have to come up as high. Do you
But-
want all of that brick, or do you want it to match the 3-way directional sign, the 3-way sign?
Well, then you just got a stark white post, if under that brick. Are you planning on putting any signs on it, any directional signs or anything on it?
We had not planned to put anything at the bottom of those, just the CRA and the city logo up higher
With
underneath
the,
the lights.
underneath the lights, and the red brick will have the CRA and city logo on each side, one on each side. But the bottom will not. Now, if y'all want to do a directional and do a couple of directional, we could. It might,
It's just gonna be very small.
it would be very small, might clutter it up,
Those are gonna have to be relatively small to fit.
and
this
it wouldn't
font.
be easily seen.
Mr. President.
Mr. Cox is next, and we'll get you.
I prefer more brick.
More just red brick lower?
Yes.
Do y'all want all of the bottom red brick or just lower the red brick? Do we want to lower it or do we want all of it?
Dr. LaRose out there. We gotta make room for Dr. LaRose here.
I like brick columns.
We can make that one completely red brick with just that white accent at the top that ties it together. And it gets rid of any maintenance headache at the bottom of these narrow little columns.
Yes.
I don't think that it would be terrible.
Okay.
I mean,
Do them all red brick except for white up top where the light post? Okay,
yeah, so we still have that white accent, so it still goes together.
okay,
We have a plan.
all right.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Please note in the minutes that Commissioner LaRose has joined us. Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Boyd, go ahead.
I just had one kind of question, and this is probably semantics, but I kind of wanted to work through it anyways, because this is consistent, I think, on all the signage. The decision for historic Crestview. And so then my only question would be, had we gone through the mechanics of considering historic downtown Crestview? And the reason I ask that is, you know, one discussion I hope that we'll get to will be a discussion of, at some point in the future, of kind of, you know, destination marketing, which I think is really where we've got to get to with downtown Crestview, with the CRA district, if it's to be successful and thriving in the future. And so is there any benefit to, you know, kind of to try to give it its own sense of place? You know, Crestview is important, but when we're sitting here in the context of commissioners on the CRA, the focus is really the areas within that district. And, you know, what I know has been messaged traditionally by the city or by the Main Street Association has been the, you know, historic downtown Crestview. I think it even appears maybe on some of the banners that way. And I don't have a determination one way or the other. Just wanted to make sure we work through that before we kind of finalize that important
That's a good.
aspect.
We had discussed that. We were worried about it making it too small, like on the monument sign where it says historic Crestview. If we did downtown historic, it might make the lettering too small, but we might could fit it in there. That we had talked about that, and you're right, because we had talked about it is historic downtown Crestview. It just would make the lettering smaller on any of our signs.
There's almost an emotional attachment people have nowadays. You know, younger folks are moving back into the downtowns.
Yeah.
Folks want to be affiliated with the downtown, and,
Yeah.
and so historic, I think, is an important word and should be there for sure. But I just, you know, weigh in the value of having that distinction of the downtown versus maybe the extra cost or having to squeeze the wording some.
It's not the cost, I think, as much as the squeezing the lettering.
Yeah.
Making it hard to
Well,
read.
I'm looking at it, looks to me like
Downtown is a big word to have.
You can,
make things kind of small.
Commissioner,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Chairman.
Promotion.
Why can't we extend the height of the
We can. That's why this is just a concept.
Yeah.
if you have to, put 2 rows of letters?
Well, and that would make it 4 rows of letters. Welcome to
4?
historic downtown Crestview. Yeah, because right now there's 3 on the monument sign. Are you looking at the monument sign or the
I was
arch?
looking at the arch.
Yeah, no, the arch might not be a problem, but the monument sign, you would have 4 rows. Well, actually, that would make it tight too, wouldn't it?
Unless you want to add the welcome to historic.
I don't think so. I think you can move historic out and put downtown. You just count how many letters you've got in historic downtown, and then
spread them
count
out on
half
one.
of it and put it in the center and see if you got enough room.
And even if we had to make the sign another foot or 2 wider, as opposed to the 10 feet wider that we had it earlier. To make the historic.
I think it would fit.
And I agree. The historic downtown Crestview is the main thing that we were wanting to put on there. We were just worried about it fitting and being able to see. But we can get them to rework it and give y'all some options with those on there.
On
With
the
the same
monument
size
sign,
letters.
you can
Yeah.
just move historic all the way to, or close to the left and put in downtown
Yes.
and move them back and forth until you get them centered.
It might,
I
well,
think it'll fit.
Like I said, even if we had to add a foot, nothing's.
it wouldn't make that big of a difference, yeah.
Mr. Gandhi
We can
down
make it
there,
fit.
I've heard you.
Yes, I like all this, and I like all of it, but do you think you can have some by the next meeting we have? To look
In a
at?
month? In July meeting?
Yeah.
Sure, I mean, we can, yeah. We do want to move forward on this as quickly as possible, so yes, any decision,
Get too far until we
Yeah.
know which one we wanted to
yeah,
do.
we have to know what y'all want and what direction you want to go before we can actually do more, official renderings. These are,
And
these,
specific drawings.
yeah,
very
specific
detailed
stuff.
drawings. These are just renderings, because we had to have somewhere to start. Yes.
no, you can do.
I would suggest, I'm sorry. I would suggest keep it simple, such as in ornamental iron, just say Main Street, Crestview. A traditional street signage could say Downtown Historic District, or however verbiage you want on that, but the actual sign itself, don't make it too busy.
Well, and the reason we did historic Crestview, because it's really, historic Crestview is not just Main Street. It's Wilson Street and Main Street, it's that area. Now, with the directional sign we can put on the right, yes, we put Main Street, and yes, that would make it smaller. But, and if y'all want to move it to just Main Street, we're here for y'all to decide, that's fine.
But
I'm just throwing that out.
the sign is sitting in front of, or at the end of Main Street, in historic downtown Crestview.
Yeah.
Even though Crestview is historic, we can't circle the city with signs saying historic Crestview. I mean, so since this one is sitting at the end of Main Street and that's downtown, I go with historic downtown. Moving historic over, putting downtown in there is not gonna make it look too busy.
No, the monument sign, I agree. I think we can make that fit.
It was the arch sign that, and I had it backwards, right? It's really kind of the arch sign. We were worried about it fitting with the wording.
The arch sign, the question is then what kind of wording do you want on the arch sign?
And we could have welcome to historic, and then underneath downtown Crestview. And the welcome to historic could be up top. And downtown Crestview can be in the arch. That could be an option. That way they'll fit, and you'll still be able to see it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Fairclough.
the color picture of the arch,
Yes, sir.
you see what I was talking about on the top where it says historic Crestview?
Yes, sir.
Those letters don't jump out at you. So
Well, no, since they were
they're hard to see.
Yeah.
that was just, I don't know what color.
But that's
you
where the
do
welcome
that.
to will be. That's where we would have welcome to historic on top of that.
But in much darker letters.
But in much darker letters. And this is, for some reason they're in white. There'll be black lettering. I mean, it'll be black. This is in white. This was the
This
first,
was the
very first stab at what he wanted to do on this one. And it would be black. We will take y'all's suggestions and let them go back to the drawing table and bring more options up here that y'all give you a better picture and idea of what we were looking at.
I could be wrong, I don't think there was much support for your Main Street. Sorry.
Good idea. but-
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Block was next.
Yes, sir.
You can just say, go ahead.
Alicia, has the historic board been consulted, any input on producing these renders that you presented to us?
I have not they know we're doing them, but they did not get, no, sir, they did not get an option on the sign. I will gladly bring them in and let them do their
I think that was a
suggestion.
mistake.
Yeah, well, okay, I will bring them in. We're working on the historic grant and that's kind of got off.
Also, on this archway, my suggestion is elimination of brick on them posts, period. Somebody is gonna zero in and bam them things regardless. And when you do any contact, you demolish the whole brick, period, post, period. But through this here with metal, galvanized studs, stucco of all renders whatsoever, in case, God forbid, it happened, but it's gonna happen. But maintenance-wise, I'm looking at maintenance-wise on the whole thing. Anywhere we can eliminate brick, let's do it.
Are you talking about on the arch sign or on all of
On the
them?
vertical post.
The vertical,
on the
yeah,
brick
the arch,
wall
the vertical,
whatsoever.
yeah,
But I place signs all over this United States.
yes, sir.
Everything, and we have had the best results of placing signs and signboards and electronics and everything on stucco.
Okay.
And there's a product out there that will fit our occasion, period, economical, and that's our concern. But let's do it one time and do it right. My suggestion.
Commissioner Boyles?
If going back to Councilman Cox's recommendation, I think it's a well-founded one. I think what I've found being in the district that there is that there are certain folks who can become concerned when the focus narrows to Main Street exclusively, knowing that that wouldn't be the intention. I think there are some of that perspective out there that we have to be aware of. In particular, the property tax, CRA tax contributors who are off of Main Street, and so it just, I think, in deference to the recognition that it is a broader district, it's probably a safer, I guess I would say, play to stay with downtown as opposed to Main Street. But the point is I think nevertheless well taken. Thank you, sir.
Well, we've given you a lot here. Did we give you enough to be able to go forward and come back to us the next meeting, and so we can?
With some more definite plans and some preliminary.
Yeah, we've been
but-
talking about this for a while. We really want to get this going.
Yeah. But the only thing I need to know, do you want the brick versus stucco on the columns of this arch? That's
Well,
a
I've only heard
decision
one
y'all
input. I've only
need
heard
to
one
make.
input on the change. So let's, anybody else have any input on that?
Rick?
Yes. Right. I like to match it with the courthouse myself, so I like the brick. I mean, I have to see to his opinion because the man was in construction for many years. But in terms of design, I like the matching with the courthouse.
Mr. Chairman, I might suggest then that you drop kind of as a compromise there, maybe increase the amount of brick, keeping the white stucco at the bottom foot of those two piers. I think that had been a recommendation that somebody had made, and that meets kind of that, enhances it with some more brick, but also gets that lower portion durable and repairable, if I'm understanding Mr. Cox correctly.
The part
Mr.
where a
Blocker.
car would hit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
make that part
Not
stucco.
half and half. Make the red brick come over with a section at the bottom.
That's a good idea.
And Mr. Chairman, and I know I'm not, I don't believe I make motions here, but I thought I might help maybe kind of wrap all this together
Yes.
so they have clear direction. And so if you'll allow me, I've kind of been taking notes, jotting down what appeared to have consensus here, and I'll be happy to offer that up in the form of a motion that someone else may or may not care to adopt or put forward, if you'll allow me.
Yeah, go ahead. Typically I would do that, but go ahead.
Oh, no, my apologies, and I'll, by all means.
No, I mean, go ahead.
I would suggest a motion might be appropriate to go ahead and allow direct staff to authorize the beginning production of the design drawings, subject to the items mentioned today, specifically to work to incorporate the word downtown into the signage language, to authorize presentation of the drawings to the historic board, to specify through the design process that low maintenance materials be emphasized. With regard to the monument sign, that the option 2 be specified, that protective pavers be added to protect the sign from weed eating or other damage. The lettering size for the year of incorporation be increased to 10 to 12 inches or as large as will be allowed by the sign construction. With regard to the arch, to again authorize those drawings, but to work on adjusting the metalwork and bring back some additional options for how that would actually look. To specify that the design allow for the attachment of temporary banners, to increase the amount of brick in the middle band, but still have a protective layer of stucco at the bottom of the sign. And with regard to the digital sign, to adjust and provide some directional signage on the bottom of the sign. That option 1 be selected with the 2 LEDs, and that the board direct me to ask the county commission support for cost sharing of 50% of construction, not to exceed $50,000, and also authorize me to ask for a donation of any surplus brick that could be used for that purpose. I think that was it.
Well said.
That's a motion.
I don't think I can make one of
Before
those.
No,
five pages.
I get what you're saying, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. What you did was summarize what we did here this evening on that topic, and so if someone could make a motion that we put that forward, all those suggestions that the commissioner capsulized for us.
And that
Yeah,
covered all my
Ms.
notes. I went through it and had all
Mr.
that.
Hayes.
Mr. President, first of all, I like that. Said you repeat that? No.
Just one in every crowd.
Motion that was proper that we, that my motion be the recommendations based on Commissioner Bowles'
Motion.
Summary.
proposal. Outlay. Summary, yeah, summary. That would be my motion.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any further discussion?
What's the motion again, Mr. President?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, I think you have your marching order. You're going to share those notes with the ladies?
I will get the audio and write that down word for it. We've got good notes up here. Beth made good notes while we were moving forward.
So can I
Okay.
take this and just give it?
Yes, you can.
I promise.
Yeah, if you don't get that back to me, I'm gonna be in trouble, and they're gonna make me answer for it. Okay. Okay. Whew.
I told you there's going to be a lot of discussion tonight.
That was an hour.
That's why we put 2 hours.
I'm glad we got this. Okay. Moving forward, if I may, on old business, I just wanted to update y'all on the Bush House Crestview Historic Museum grant submittal. I did submit the grant on June 1st for a $50,000 matching grant application to the state, the DOS, and the letters of support. I got an email today on number 3. It says grant ranking and review meeting. I got an email today. They changed the date. They did say mid-September, but the actual dates for them to do the ranking and review is August 21st and 22nd, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. We're planning on either going to that or to be available on a webcast. We can look at it and be there, and that way if they have any questions, we can answer questions. We can't make any presentations, but we will be available to answer any questions. I will have the Historic Preservation Board with me and some of y'all and anybody that would like to be with me at that webcast.
Where is there?
We'll have to have it, we'll set the webcast up in here, probably in here, and be available. I will send y'all the information on exactly the time and location. I'll have to get with IT and see where we can set that up. Now, I will say that this grant that we're applying for is a special project grant, and we applied for it. Most of these grants are in the $100,000 to $200,000 and $300,000 range. We're only asking for $50,000. We're hoping that this grant, there's fewer of these awarded, but since it's a smaller amount, and I've done my research and looked, and they have not done much up here in the Panhandle area, especially Crestview, and since this is establishing a historic museum and restoring a historical home, I'm hoping we'll get awarded. But even if we don't, we've gotten our name out there. They know where we're wanting. The money won't be, if we do get awarded, we won't be awarded until June 1st, 2019. We can't start the project till then. And, but if we don't get awarded, I would suggest that we go ahead and move forward with our $50,000 we were going to spend anyway and get it started. And we can apply again next year.
Okay, the grant is effective June 1st, 2019.
Yes.
When we will find out in August of this year, is that what you're saying?
We should find out on that day. That's what the grant review board, that's what they sent me. And that's the
All right,
only information I have right
Comments,
now.
questions on the grant?
And I did get everybody a copy. Everybody should have gotten a copy of the grant.
I
If you
wanna-
didn't, I'll get one.
I want to say something about that. I went through that thing, and you spent a lot of time. You did a fantastic job on that.
Thank you, sir.
You're to be commended for the amount of work you did on that grant application. You really did a great job, and I think we get a good chance of getting it based on the research you did and how you prepared that. So, thank you.
I will have to say, without the Historic Preservation Board helping me out on that, it would not have been what it was. That I could not have done it without them, and I need to give them a lot of the credit.
All right, good. Okay.
All right, on the new business, I just, we need to transfer, I'm requesting transfer of funds for $50,000 to the operations account. Our current balance is $2,000.79. That is in anticipation of awarding some grant money. That we've awarded some, we may have to start distributing some, and that's why I'm asking for $50,000. I try to just do $25,000 because I like to keep it in the money market account, but I'm asking for $50,000 this time. Transfer money.
Any questions, comments? Not a call for action?
I make a motion that we do approve it.
Second.
Motion second to transfer $50,000 to the operations account. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? You got it.
Okay, thank you. And next, I just gave you a copy of our quarterly financial report. I'm going to try to give it, I don't really have to do one except for annually, but I wanted y'all to kind of have an idea of where our expenditures are going for the year and in each quarter. So as you'll see at the bottom, well, so far this year, we've spent a little over $100,000, and we have 1.2 available. I will say that as we move the finances to the finance department, I am actually going to sit down with the finance director, and we're going to, do a kind of our own internal audit to make sure all these numbers match. From what I see, they do. It's actually closer to that balance 1,233. That really should be 1,133 because it did not remove the 100,000 that we gave for the FERDAP grant to the Park and Recreation Department. So that really is actually 1,133.
Alicia, this is a little bit off from the report, but the report prompted a question someone brought to me, someone who's looking for grants. And they said we do a pretty good job of documenting how you can get facade grant, but all these other grants, asbestos, building codes, commercial, they said that there's no checklist of what they have to do. They have to kind of funnel through the book and find out this and that. Is there any way we can develop a checklist if you want to apply for one of these grants? Bam, 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 like that.
I am actually currently working on putting together the policies and procedures for these grant applications. I have done some research with other CRAs and getting examples of theirs. And actually, Commissioner Boyles has said that they've got a new grant department up there, and they're going to help me. He's going to help me get some resources to do some policies and procedures for these specific grants.
Okay.
We are working on those.
Good.
It's just had to be delayed for a little
All right.
bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right.
Okay. And as y'all know, my contract is up for renewal. I did submit y'all a letter, and the contract application, there was only a couple of changes. I would like to, on the year in review, just go over that briefly with y'all. I know you have it in front of you, but as y'all requested in my contract that I complete the FRA Academy courses, which I did, and I will be receiving an FRA-RP certification. And in October at the FRA conference, I will be able to walk the stage and receive my certification at that time. I have finished all the classes. On the CRA budget expenditures, like I said, we've spent about over $100,000 this year. And savings due to the evaluation of contract obligations and cancellations, we've saved about $94,000 this year. Those contract renewals were account services. We no longer need that QuickBooks training or assistance on monthly bank reconciliations. That I'm doing those now, and we'll be working with the finance department, so we didn't need to pay for an accountant. We have moved the website development and maintenance to the city's IT department, and by doing that, we don't have to pay for the Peterman contract that we had or any other contractual obligation. And currently, our budget for Peterman was approximately $60,000 that we spent last year for them doing our website and marketing. So by letting the city do the website and help me with Facebook and help me with everything, which they have been marvelous, we're saving about $60,000 this year. And the cancellation of retail strategies contract, it really saved us $60,000, but this year we would have spent $30,000 on that contract. And we canceled that, and instead we're going with Nextsite and partnering with the city. And we only had to pay $6,600 for the year, as opposed to $30,000 we would have had to pay.
What's the amount we paid?
$6,600. That's what we paid for our portion of Nextsite.
For our portion, okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. CRA projects completed. We did a Christmas ornament shopping discount and fundraiser program where we were able to donate $271 to the Crestview Police Community Program for their Toys for the Children program. The CRA Master and Redevelopment Plan has been completed, and sunset was increased by 15 years, and we added a board member from the county, Commissioner Nathan Boyles. He's non-voting board member. CRA projects currently in process. We all are quite aware of the gateway entrance sign now. That's in process. The historic grant application, which was submitted, hopefully we'll get $50,000 for that. And then partnership with the city of Crestview regarding the next site marketing contract. That's something that we have already that are in process that we're moving forward on that. CRA projects and planning, Bush House, Crestview Historic Museum, that's in the planning process. Crestview Business Development and Mentoring Program, is in the planning process. I am working with partnering with several organizations on that. And then downtown park, Segway, start working on that. Commissioner Boyles and I are actually meeting 2 weeks to go over and start working on that Segway. My contract in here, the first one you'll see.
Question before she goes to
I'm sorry?
contract.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Parker.
In that project and planning, what has happened to the depots that dropped with
No, sir.
20 crack again?
No, sir, it has
I
not.
don't see where it was addressed nowhere.
Because we haven't started that yet. My goal is on the depot is as we get the historical grant established, if we win that grant, then I'm going to go back and get a bigger grant, because we've got $150,000 set aside for the
Right, I
depot.
know we have.
I want to go back to them, because once we get established with them and they know that we will spend the money wisely, I want to go back to them and ask for a bigger grant to actually get that rebuilt. And that's going to be part of the Segway that we're working on and all that area. I want to get a good strategic plan together. Sorry, I talk with my hands. A good strategic plan together on where we want it and where we want it to go. It is not dead. We just need to get more money and get the strategic plan put together on how I want to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President.
Yeah,
also a
Mr.
question
Hayes.
Since we're talking on project,
Mm-hmm.
what's the status of the dog park right now?
You asking me?
No, no.
I can tell you.
It was a project
Yeah.
No.
Well, and the dog part, and I actually didn't include that in here, but the dog part we did, of course, pay for the renderings, the landscape renderings. And I talked with April the other day, and she is working closely with Wayne Steele. And we're moving forward to try to at least get groundbreaking and get it started. We're not going to, the impression she gave me, and like I said, I'm kind of giving secondhand, we're not going to start with a Cadillac. We're going to get the brown broke, the fencing up, and get moving forward with the money that we do have. And she's got a lot of donations coming in on the supplies, and we'll be moving forward on that process at that time. And we've got the money set aside. We didn't pay as much for the landscape designs as we thought, so the money left over we're going to use to pay for the sign. When we start breaking ground, I want to put a sign out there that says coming soon. But I don't want to put the sign out there until we actually start breaking ground.
Okay, Mr. President.
Yes,
And the reason I address that, because citizens are concerned. You know, we've been talking about this for 2 years? No, years, not much, sir. At least about 2 years, you know, so that's why I think we need to get it out to the public where we stand on that issue and what our plans are and when we plan on moving forward. It's just an issue that seems like it's fallen by the side, and that's the reason why I addressed that issue.
I've been working it privately. It's, whether you know it or not, it's not really a CRA project. It's in our area, but the funding is all private funding.
Okay.
And they're going to reimburse the city, and April's working with the city, and it's moving along, not moving along as quickly as I wanted it to, but it's not our fault. It's not Wayne's fault. Okay, and I believe the plans are going in front of the board this month. Am I not correct? Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
and I understand that. The reason I addressed it because
Teresa, you'd like an input on that?
Mr. Hayes, was finished.
I'm finished.
It has been submitted to planning, and it will appear in our next TRC meeting.
And you know what, we've downsized things
Yeah, I
so that
understand
we
about the
had,
cost.
we're gonna
of-
build what we had the money to build.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
On the contract? The contract that I'm submitting y'all for approval that I have requested, the first section, you've got 2 contracts in your book. The first one is the red line item that Carol Leone helped put together for me, and those are the red line items. Everything in red was what a change was. So, of course, at the beginning, this is 2018 contract. That's the only change on the first page. Everything else is just like the previous contract. The other change is on the bottom of page 3. Where it states that, about the declaration of assurances that y'all have already approved for the change, that those assurances were amended regarding the CRA funds by the CRA Board on April 14, 2018, and authorized in Ordinance 1598, which was approved by the CRA Board. And I think y'all are voting on that final approval at the council meeting tonight. Okay. The other change is on page 6. And this is really an agreement to the previous contract that was stated that when I did receive my certification, if I received it that first year, y'all had allocated the money to pay for the certification. It was part of my salary, but not really. It was allocated to my education. And now, and as soon as I received that education, then as that was complete, then it would go up to $65,000 as opposed to $60,000, and that would be my annual. That's the cost of this contract. And all the red line item under it is where we mentioned that money was for the education. And that is taken out of the final one. On page 7, now if y'all have questions while we're moving forward, just cut me off, let me know. On page 7, term of agreement, monthly reports, and right to terminate. I am asking for a 2-year contract as opposed to a 1-year contract. That'd be 24 months. It's still in here that as long as y'all can terminate my contract with a 30-day notice, 1 month notice. But also we added that I may terminate the contract prior to the end of the term by giving a 30-day written notice to the board, which if I wish to terminate, but also says that I will leave the position through any of the foregoing methods that I will provide assistance to the CRA board in providing a new provider with training and status reports of CRA matters, including budget, project status, and other relevant matters. In other words, I will give y'all, if I decide to terminate the contract, I'll give y'all a 30-day notice, but I will stay and help in the process of training somebody. And that's the only change on that page. That may be all the changes.
All right, based on those changes.
Yeah, that's all the changes.
Open up to comments and questions by the commissioners. Yes, Mr. Fairclough, go ahead.
The 65,000, that's per year for 2 years?
Per year for 2 years, yes, sir. Mm. And I will also state at the end, because of work I've been doing with Nathan Sparks with the EDC, he included a letter of endorsement requesting that this contract be continued. He and I are working on the business development program. We've just gotten it started, and he would like to see it continue, so that's why I included this letter in here.
Any other comments, questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Blocker.
in reviewing this and doing and dealing with contracts for 50 years, I recommend that we extend this contract for 2 years and the termination clause is in there, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, or 100 years. I recommend extending it to 2 years.
Okay.
I'll take
Any
it.
other comments? I'll get you in a minute.
That was a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead,
to
Mr.
deal with
Cox.
that.
Did you want
Is
to
he
comment
making that a
before the
mo-
vote?
Is that just for the term or for the whole contract?
Your
The
contract
contract as
is
written?
for a term of 2 years.
Yes, sir, with the 65,000, yeah.
With that, because we've already approved that to start with.
Well, it's just, yeah, I just
So I'll
wanted to
put
make
that in the
sure.
form
Thank
of
you,
a
sir.
motion, Mr.
Well,
President.
would you make the motion then to approve the contract as rewritten? And that will include everything you just said.
Indeed, I will. So be it.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, a motion second to approve the contract as rewritten. Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. Hayes, I'll call on Teresa after you speak.
And this is just for legal, on page 7, and I'm not a lawyer, so I got two. On page 7, section 4C, and down at the part where it says, before provider leaves the position through any of the foregoing methods, you see that there where I'm reading? Okay, the only thing jumped in my mind right quick was, she's saying she'll stay until that time, but then is that reasonable? Because you know how long it takes to get a CRA director? She gonna hang around till we get one? I'm looking at that aspect of it, what she said she's gonna do. So we legally, in my opinion, we could hold to that if that's what's in there. So I'm saying, is that in the best interest of her?
Well, I wrote it for your best interest.
Okay, so anyway, I'm just trying to look at it being fair, but if a layman can interpret that, well, okay, she's telling us she's gonna stop in 30 days. Well, we don't get a person until 60 or 90 days. She's saying I'm gonna hang around and train them.
Well, and you'll notice it's not specific, it just says that she would train and assist with the status she could do that remotely even.
Okay, I just want, I just wanted to know.
Anticipate if she was no longer working under the contract, then she's probably not gonna give that time away for free. We might have to work out an hourly arrangement or some sort of thing if it was gonna extend past the termination of the contract. It's possible it could happen within that 30 days, as far as.
But you understand why I'm asking what I'm asking, right?
And
Okay.
I think it's open enough and broad enough that we can work out the details, but I wanted to make sure that she was aware, Lisa was aware that we would expect and need that from her. However, that was gonna be worked out. So. But I think that there's enough ability to do that even remotely if we needed to.
And I'm not the type of, and I know it's not contract, but I'm not the type of person
That's
to
okay,
ban.
Mr. President. I just wanted to,
I appreciate your concern.
wanted information on that from a legal standpoint.
Yes.
Yeah. Teresa, you wanted to give some input on this?
Yes, sir. We had requested at the last meeting in order to go through several avenues. So, seeing that we've circumvented all of that, we're gonna go to the portion where there should have been a couple of considerations. Our Main Street Association is going to speak with you next month considering a partnership, and they are looking forward to having a full-time director so that the CRA director will no longer have to participate in Main Street. She will just have her time for CRA. It will not, so they will not have to utilize going to the meetings or training or participating in the Main Street area. Mr. Lowry is here. So the avenue in the contract that requires Main Street participation would need to be removed. And since the expiration date of the other is July 26th, at that point in time, you will need to remove the growth management department from the contract verbiage and have it reconciled from there. So.
Well, I don't know why we would be taking something out of the contract for something that might happen in the future.
Well,
You're talking about Mr. Lowry's going to present something next month.
Yeah, he was going to present it this month. However, it was incomplete. But
So
that's why he's here tonight to speak with y'all.
But he's not presenting it tonight.
No, he's not. But
Okay,
he did
so,
come.
so you're suggesting that we should take it out of a contract for something that might happen in the future, which doesn't make any sense to me.
No, that's what he wants to address, is to talk it over with you. We had anticipated this time. We did not expect the contract to be up for approval tonight. It was slated to be up for approval in July. The expiration date is July 26th, so it would have needed to have been passed in July, which would have given enough time for them to discuss this matter. I'm just offering up that he needs to talk about it. That needs to be, and that would be a consideration a concern for the contract.
The reason this was brought up tonight was because Ms. Gaylor brought it up the last meeting, said we needed to discuss it at this meeting. And that's why I prepared everything. And like I said, the contract, and I agree, the contract with Main Street is totally separate. And we will still be funding Main Street. We will still be giving their money. CRA will be providing money to Main Street. So, I mean, I want to work with them, and I think the contract will be great. And I don't see Sandra going, we'll address that at that time. But if we need to change my contract, it can always be rechanged. But right now, I brought this up tonight because she had brought it up the last meeting, that the reason we needed to move forward on this is because it is up in July. We need to make sure and have everything approved prior to then. If y'all want to remove me from Main Street oversight, then that's y'all's decision and whatever y'all decide. But I agree, at that time, we need to cover it then.
Any other comments about it?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Get closer to the mic.
She's got a soft
I'm
voice.
sorry. What was the thinking behind changing the contract from 12 months to 24 months?
The thinking was, honestly, a security blanket for me, but we have contracts. Our lawyer had a 3-year contract. We got a 3-year contract with Nextsite. We got a 3-year, every time we do a contract with a company, it's 3 years. And your director only had a 1-year contract. If I'm going to implement these contracts, I need to be around to implement them. It's more of a security blanket for me to know that I've got these 2 years, and as I work projects and move forward, I can plan for the 2 years instead of just 1 year. And my thoughts are to be going on, if y'all want to give me a 20-year contract, I'll take it. But, you know, just 2 year at a time because, you know, her contract's up in 2019. Everything is, the grant gets awarded in 2019. And I need to be able to have that time.
So in the future, would that mean that every director will have a 2-year contract, or the first year will be a 1 year and then renewable for 2 years? Is that the way
That'll be
it's
the
gonna
decision of the
go?
commissioners.
That'll be y'all's decision at that time.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I think we have a motion and a second, do we not? In terms of discussion, I guess things didn't fold out the way some people anticipated it, but I don't think that we should hold everything up. I think we should vote on the contract, and if we make any changes in the future, we'll amend the contract just like you could in any other contract. That would be, those are my thoughts on it.
Mr. Chairman, I have another question. So the question that I have now is, how much of the Main Street work do you do as part of your directorship for the CRA?
The main thing I do with Main Street, I don't act like their director. That would be inappropriate. I go to the meetings, and I'm more of an advisory, and I do a lot of volunteer work for them. I'm more of an advisor and a helper. And I see myself as a helper to whatever they need as we move forward on facade grants and projects and events going downtown. I don't order or demand anything.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. President, I'd like to hear from our attorney, sister.
The contract does right now anticipate that part of the services rendered would be Main Street Director, and that was our itemized on the contract. So if that were to change, we would have to revise the contract, certainly, to take those duties off of the responsibilities of the CRA Director. And I think the Growth Management Director has issue with, the contract does speak to her as being an oversight for the CRA, and I think that's what the contract anticipates. And I don't know if she thinks that's a conflict with her, with the Declaration of Assurances or things like that. I just want to bring that up because she sort of alluded to it, but she didn't quite mention it. I've spoken with her about that, I know, and so that's a concern, because I know what Elisa has been saying is finances were going through the city finance, and that the Growth Management Director would continue to administer and oversee. And that would be what we would be anticipating.
That's not what is stated in the Declaration of Assurances. So, if you compare the two, it no longer says that.
Yes,
So,
it does. It says that I still send reports and to you.
No,
Yeah,
ma'am.
it does.
No, ma'am. It's that the growth management has been completely removed from
No,
the
it hasn't.
Declaration
Of
of
assurances?
Assurances.
No, it has
I
not.
have copies here, right?
It says CRA Administrator.
And there's no definition for that, correct?
Well, it does, Growth
Right
Management
now.
Director is no longer assigned as the administrator per the declaration.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Okay,
we
what-
can clarify that through another document or go forward some other way, but, and I think we did that in thinking if, say, there was a city manager that took that role on instead, we could just call them the CRA administrator. It didn't have to be growth management, it could have been someone else.
It's whoever y'all deem to be the person as the CRA administrator. I will say state statutes, they say that my only governing body is the board. And I have a finance director that helps with the finances to make sure I do that properly. And y'all, she's very talented and she knows what she's doing, and we have a great relationship. And Carol Leone, I have a lawyer that makes sure legally everything's right, and then we have the board to make sure everything else is right. If y'all want to continue with the CRA administrator, that's y'all's decision. Right now, it is under, it is growth management, and that's for y'all to decide which direction y'all want to go on that. But state statutes say my only governing body is the board.
Yes, Trish, go ahead.
Yes, this growth management is perfectly satisfied with the not being an administrator. Your administrator in the new assurances is a dangling position. It's not defined. That's the only question we're saying. And when we said about the contract, that's the reason you need to remove growth management from the contract. You just need to tidy up your bookkeeping so that it's accurate.
I don't believe we moved the administrative duties from underneath. All we did was move the finance obligations over to the finance director. We still have you defined as administrative control of the CRA.
No, sir, that section 9 has been removed.
Yeah.
Section 9 now states that it's the CRA administrator will be designated as the city's direct oversight representative in support of CRA administration and administrative needs, while the city finance director shall provide oversight in support of the CRA's financial needs.
Right.
There is no definition for your administrator there. So however, with the finance director assuming the administrative duties that was once in the old declaration that was held by
I don't think that
growth
was the intention,
management.
for them to assume the administrative duties.
Well, then you don't have, it's not defined. Your administrator is not defined in the new assurances. So is it an unnecessary position? Does it simply need to be, section 9 need to be redefined there and clarify that your finance director is your administrative, the CRA administrator? That needs to be tightened up and growth management needs to be removed from the contract.
Well,
That's all that needs to be done.
The CRA administrator position is a position that y'all have deemed over the CRA. It's not a state statute, it's something that the city has put in there. The reason that says CRA administrator is because that position could be changed. Right now, it was growth management director. If she wants it removed, then that's her, it's her decision. But that's why it just said, like Carol Leone said, it says administrator, whoever it is. The city is the only one that has required there to be an administrator, the finances, and I have a finance director and a legal attorney and the board. If y'all want an administrator, that's fine. It's whoever y'all deemed. Right now, it was growth management. That's y'all's decision.
If you could listen to section 9 of the previous Declaration of Assurances, this is where what's missing from the other, where you have actually defined the administrator. In section 9, the growth management administrative assistant will be designated as the city's direct oversight representative in support of the CRA's administration and administrative needs and shall be referred herein as the CRA administrator. That is missing from your definition of your administrator is missing from your new assurances. Whether that position is relevant or not, it would be something you need to decide. In your ordinance that is within your code allows you, in your section 2-107, simply brings down your administrative as general agency oversight will be with the city council as the agent's governing body and with any city designated department. So if you require a department to be designated, you must designate it. Your new assurances designate the finance director. So that's what all your other paperwork needs to adhere to because that's what is listed. Unless you put in something else. That's the only assignment that you have there.
And I would just suggest that you don't need to have that in a document. You could assign the CRA administrator as whomever through a motion, and now we've got it established. And that would be consistent with the documents that you have.
And these are the assurances that, if I'm not mistaken, y'all approved and that y'all they're going before the actual city council in a few minutes to be approved and finalized. That's what the contention is. That it does not say who, she's right. My assumption was, since she's been that's what it was. It does leave it open if y'all choose somebody else. It's a generic answer in case y'all choose somebody else, but y'all get to choose who it is.
Okay,
Just
we're gonna need to wrap this up.
Right.
We
Yeah.
really
just one
need
quick
the-
question, one quick.
No, let me call on Mr. Godney first.
That's what I started to say. We got a motion and a second on the motion. We're not standing here and arguing between two people. Let's go ahead and vote and get it over with.
We're in the discussion phase of that motion.
If you go to section 10 of the assurances, it said oversight support to the CRA administrator, comma, the city finance director and the city clerk. So is there three distinct individuals in the assurances? The CRA administrator, the city finance director, and the city clerk. So there is nowhere that it says that the city finance director will be the CRA administrator.
That's what I'm saying. The administrator is not defined. You do not have a definition of who fills that position. So do you simply remove that position or fill it with your finance director or even your city clerk? That's what you need. You just need to define it or remove the word out of it.
Well, we need to do what our attorney advises us to do.
Well, and if it's indefinite and you feel like it's indefinite, you can right now make a motion that your CR administrator is the growth management director until we make another motion.
You're gonna tell the attorney that she doesn't know what she's saying, is that what you're saying, Teresa?
That's
Shaking your head no.
That's not inconsistent with any documents, if you just make a motion, and so now you have a record of who that is, in case someone doesn't know who it is. I think that's sufficient in my opinion.
Which we can't do right now, because we have a motion second on the floor. Okay, the motion second is on the contract.
Right.
We done with that discussion. We'll go to voting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, contract been approved. Now, can we get a
Thank you.
motion on the CRA administrator?
I make a motion that our director be that. Yeah, turn it back over to her.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. President.
I'm not sure I understood what you're saying, Ron.
What I was gonna do is just nominate her for being the CRA director, and that's what you, and let her be it by herself and nobody else.
I have the finance, as I was saying earlier, the two key important parts of CRA, or three really. Finances have to be done right. Finance director's over that.
And legal.
Legally, we have to be legal. The board has to approve everything. Those are your three state statutes. If you want there to be an administrator, that's a city's decision. If you want to remove it, that's y'all's decision. The main three things are finance, legal, board. The city has in the past made an administrator. That's up to y'all what y'all want to do. That's why it was put in there generically.
So what your motion is to eliminate the CRA administrator.
Right.
Nobody knows who it is, so we might as well get rid of it.
Does that sound correct to you, Dr. Lamb?
You can do that, but right now, the contract that you're approving does refer to the growth management director and her oversight responsibilities, so then I guess the question would be, is that remaining in that state? Is that change, or is that?
Or can we approve the contract with the removal of that position?
We just approved it.
We just approved that.
We would have to, we can rescind the second and the motion and have a new motion. Who made the second?
I didn't make no second.
We didn't.
On the
Never did
contract,
a
I did.
motion for the contract.
The contract was
Oh,
second,
con-
yeah.
We've already approved that.
I know, but I'm trying to figure, we're gonna pull that out so we can reapprove the contract without that, with that amendment in there. Taking out the growth management as a CRA administrator.
Or eliminate the administrator
It's
position.
gonna eliminate the CRA administrative position. To do that, we just approved the contract as is. We wanna take that out. We wanna reverse that vote and then make a new motion.
Mr. President,
But to do that, you have to figure out who did this motion second.
I'm trying to catch this. Why would we have to rescind what we just voted on? Why couldn't we make a motion to do the changes
Amend.
that we have in the contract as we just approved it? Is that legal?
You can say that you'd like to change the contract by, however it is you're wanting to change it.
Was,
Change the
Yeah.
contract we just approved.
wasn't,
I meant, yeah.
wasn't that part of the contract to make changes occasionally if necessary?
I don't recall if it's
No.
in here, but you certainly have the.
Is it in there?
You, it's not specifically in here, but as the board,
Oh, yeah.
y'all have full right to do whatever you want to my contract.
Right, Mr. Cox?
I would propose a secondary motion of I move that the CRA administrator remain the growth management director until further notice.
You would have to make that motion. It's already in there right now.
I think you had that backwards.
Yeah.
Well,
But, sir, I would, if I could, that would clarify your growth management concern that it's not clear who the administrator is due to the assurances, changes to the assurances. So what Mr. Cox is saying is that motion would clarify who the current administrator is.
yes.
Okay.
Instead of
Right.
removing
I
it, you
didn't
want to
understand.
clarify it. Instead of removing it, you want to clarify it.
Mr. President,
Yes.
except for, well, he said secondary motion. Do we have secondary motions?
Amend the,
I
amend
did-
it.
I just-
Remove that, just remove that word, so.
Okay. I can approve Mr. Cox's motion as well.
Your second.
Second.
Okay. All right, all those in favor?
What I,
Oh, discussion.
what I heard Mr. Cox say was to make the CRA director the growth management director.
Right.
No.
No,
That's what he said.
the CRA administrator to remain the growth management director
Until.
Get it right, Herb.
until further notice.
Like I said, if y'all want to do that, that's fine, either or. I would prefer, honestly, my opinion is to just remove it. But y'all make that decision.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
What's the result of the motion, Mr. President?
Hmm?
Result of the motion, because I heard a couple of nays on the side of me, and then I heard yeas.
I said no.
Oh, did you really?
I said no.
Oh, okay. So it was, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 yeas, 2 nays, is that right? No, 5 yeas and 2 nays.
You want me to
Mr.
move?
President, I apologize, but if the two nays could identify themselves, there was so much conversation.
Yeah, because I didn't,
I'm a nay.
I'm an A.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, you want me to move forward? Final.
all right, we're, next topic.
Next topic is reappointment of commissioners with expiring terms. Dr. Roy, we had discussed this, and we have 2 board members who have expiring terms come July.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the CRA agency board is on automatic renewal for like terms unless there is some contradiction among the board that wishes to appoint another party in replacement. If you're simply, they automatically renew their term, just so you know that.
This was just to bring it up, to give them the opportunity, if they wanted to renew, to present it. If not, because there is an option.
If anybody's interested in stepping down, that's what you're saying.
That's what it is. If you want to stay on, great.
Don't
If
stay
you
on,
want-
don't you? Of course you do.
Okay. It just had to be official.
All right,
Okay.
Dr. Leone, you have a check for us?
I do, right here. This is the May payment from RE Development.
The reduced,
Yes, unfortunately, it's
it's
continued to
okay.
be reduced.
We
but
approved it.
We know that they're doing the best they can, they being the collection agency, to get the maximum amount for us. So we appreciate their efforts and his payments for that matter. We have a couple of minutes, and I told you I would go over little ethics things as we went along, if we had a minute. And there's one ethics, statute that I just would like to kind of bring to your attention. It's things that you deal with as a city council as well. But it's a little bit odd with respect to a CRA, so just to kind of talk about it a bit. It's the statute that deals with voting conflicts for the board and with respect to participating in discussions even on those types of things. And it's Florida Statute, Chapter 112, Part 3 deals with the ethics variably, and the statute that allows for an exception for CRA board members to vote on matters within the CRA. Normally, you're not supposed to vote on something, but the statute recognizes that even someone who's appointed has to have a business or reside within the area. So they may be impacted by a ruling or a decision by the board. So it made an exception for CRA board members to allow them to vote on matters that fall within the CRA. And that's at 112.314, friend 3B. I'm gonna give you some statutes you can look at and look at that. But I wanted just to make you aware of the possibility that you may own something that's gonna obviously be benefited greater than, say, the normal person within the CRA area. It should be obvious, it may not be, but if that were to happen, then you have to worry about whether you should vote on that item, whether you should participate at all on that item. And if you're unclear at all about whether you think you benefit more so than the others in the area, generally, you can always talk to me about it specifically. And then there's a big process that you're supposed to do to divulge. Now, you guys write out those disclosure forms every year with what you own and those types of things. So that's a general public notice of your ownings and interests in the area. But if it's a project that comes up, because we're doing projects and you should be aware of that it's right next door to your business or something that you think might really generally affect you personally, then maybe you should recuse yourself from voting or even participating and put out a notice to the public with respect to that. So it's just something to keep in mind. I'm going to give you copies of the statute with the relevant areas highlighted. It's just something that you could look at, and if you have any questions, you can contact me. We can talk about it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Anybody from the public like to address the CRA at this time? Anybody from the public? All right. In that case, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.